Take revenge on Mom for me.
Half a year after William passed away, I went to visit his grave with James. Since his death, there had been a gaping hole in my heart. The times we spent together, the places we went, the food we ate. I know William wouldn't want me to keep looking down forever. Even though I know this, I can't help but cry when I think of him unexpectedly. I want to look forward, but I don't know how. I was living a life full of worries about what I should do. However, after visiting the grave, as we were heading home, the slightly puffed envelope James handed me seemed to clear the fog in my mind.
This is a letter from William.
With some doubts, I received the letter from James and opened the envelope at home. Inside were several letters on a USB and a few photos. As I went through them, I realized William had been involved in a serious situation. At the same time, I realized I needed to look forward for his sake. My name is Mary. I'm 35 years old. I work at a small local company and lead a peaceful and comfortable life. Leaving the lively office, I return home and turn on the lights. Since I'm not married, naturally, there is no one to welcome me. But that's okay. I have no intention of getting married anymore. For me, there is only one husband. 2 years ago, I had a husband named William, but he passed away. He ended his own life. I met William when we were college students. I joined the club he was in. Of course, we weren't close from the start. Our distance quickly closed one night after a drinking party. At that time, I wasn't old enough to drink alcohol, so I watched my drunk friends while holding a soft drink. When the party was over and we were about to head home, it turned out William and I were going in the same direction.
I'm heading home too. If you like, I can walk you home.
Really? Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm worried about a girl walking alone.
Thank you so much. Despite hardly talking before, William was concerned about me. Feeling his kindness, I was embarrassingly flustered. The night silence enveloped us, and the sound of our footsteps was the only thing I could hear. I was excited by the atmosphere only this time of night could bring, but I also felt a bit awkward. There was no conversation at all. We hadn't really talked much before, so it was natural, but I still felt it was awkward. However, it was William who dispelled this awkwardness.
Ah. Sorry about today.
What?
You know, the guys who drank too much were causing a ruckus. It must have been tough getting tangled up with them.
Oh no. It was fine. William apologized while scratching his head. I was just thinking how fun everyone seemed. I can't wait until I'm old enough to drink too.
All right. Is that so?
Hearing my words, William had a smile on his face. Starting with his words, we began to talk intermittently. We started with stories about college, then moved on to personal things like hobbies and favorite foods. It wasn't exactly exhilarating, but I still enjoyed talking with William. I even found myself wishing we could talk like this again. Soon my wish would be granted. Since we had walked home together, William began to talk to me more. Gradually, we started going home together regularly and even began dining out just the two of us. Then, 6 months after that party, we started dating. Though we were in different departments, we spent a lot of time together. Every day was truly fun and filled with happiness. Even after William started working, our relationship continued. And it didn't change when I started working. We discussed work issues and vented about our bosses. Compared to our college days, the topics of our conversations had greatly changed. Initially, I struggled to fit in at work, and I often found it tough. But I was able to overcome that environment because William was there. I was truly happy to be dating such a wonderful man. And I often thought about how nice it would be to marry William someday. It seems he was thinking the same thing. About 8 years into our relationship, William proposed.
I will definitely make you happy.
William looked me in the eyes and conveyed his feelings. Naturally, I had no reason to refuse. I'm glad to be with you. And so we got married. Finally, I was able to become William's wife. I remember feeling so happy it was almost like a dream. Our closeness didn't change even after we got married. It was very comfortable, and I couldn't help but feel happy to be married to him. But it's true that a new life had begun. Getting used to living together wasn't easy, and we both had our struggles. At such times, it was my mother-in-law, Emily, who helped us. Emily, like William, was very kind. I heard that her husband had passed away, but he must have been as kind as William and Emily.
Are you okay? Is there anything troubling you?
Actually, sometimes we'd talk over the phone, and since she lived nearby, she would come over to visit. She kindly taught me how to cook and shared life hacks. Often, we would have meals together with Emily. There wasn't a fixed day or time, but she probably considered that I'd be coming home from work on weekday nights.
I'll take care of everything, Mary. You can just rest.
But I can't just leave everything to you, Emily.
It's fine. You must be tired from work, right? Don't worry about me. Okay?
Oh, thank you. At first, I felt I relied too much on Emily and often felt guilty. However, as I spent more time with her, I began to feel that she also enjoyed interacting with us. From then on, I was able to interact with Emily without feeling tense. At that moment, it felt like all the tension I had been feeling since I started interacting with Emily suddenly disappeared.
My only child is William, you know. So it's fun for me to talk with someone his age like you.
Emily treats me like her own daughter. On my days off, it's not uncommon for Emily and me to go shopping together. At home, we often brew our favorite teas and chat about this and that. Being far from my parents and unable to see them often, I was happy that Emily paid attention to me. However, such a peaceful life quickly crumbled. The trigger was when Emily opened a cafe. She had mentioned wanting to open a cafe before, so I wasn't particularly surprised. However, I was surprised when William said he wanted to quit his job to help Emily, but I sincerely wished him the best and agreed. I decided to support our household until William's income stabilized. Perhaps because there were no competitors, Emily's cafe seemed to take off faster than expected.
People are coming in more than I thought. Mom seems happy about it.
That's great. Are there any regulars?
Yeah, there are a few.
That's good to hear. I've had some of her trial dishes, and they were really delicious. I can see why you have regulars. Hearing my words, William shyly smiled. After that, Emily's cafe continued without a break in customers. They even got featured in a magazine, and it seems the number of customers is only increasing.
It's nice that so many people come, and it's not too busy, but it's still tough managing just the two of us.
William laughed a bit troubled, but his smile conveyed how happy he was that the shop was thriving. I was glad things seemed to be going well, but a year after the shop opened, I began to notice William sighing more often. I wondered if I should just leave him be, but the frequent sighs were too concerning to ignore. Trying to be tactful, I decided to ask William about it. Lately, are you okay?
Okay. What do you mean?
Well, I've noticed you've been sighing a lot lately. I wondered if you might be having some troubles. It's okay if you don't want to talk about it.
Oh, I didn't realize I was doing that.
It seemed he wasn't aware of his own size. That made me even more worried, as it suggested he was really stressed.
Well, things at the shop haven't been going so well.
The shop? Apparently, a similar concept cafe had opened nearby, and it was quite trendy and stylish. Customers who used to come are now going to the new shop, and the foot traffic has been dwindling.
It's not like there's any problem with the management yet, but it's getting worrying, or maybe tougher. Mom is worried too, she always looks sad.
That's tough. I knew a new shop had opened but didn't know about the concept. I only ever planned to go to Emily's place, I wasn't interested in the other.
Yeah,
William held his head and sighed deeply again. Although I wanted to help after hearing his concerns, there wasn't much I could do. The only things I could do for the shop were to visit myself and promote it to others. It's indirect, and I'm not sure if it will be effective. When I went to the shop after talking to him, Emily's expression was as cloudy as he said. There were fewer customers than before, and it was clear why.
Ah, Mary. William told you everything, didn't he?
Yes. I'm trying to figure out what to do. I mean, I'm promoting the place to people around me.
Oh, thank you.
Emily smiled weakly behind the counter and looked down at her cup. If the decline in customers continues, if the shop goes under, I couldn't help but imagine the worst and felt gloomy. While drinking coffee, I pondered if there was anything else I could do. However, my worries ended up being unnecessary. A month after hearing William's concerns, incredibly, the new store that had opened closed down. As a result, Emily's cafe regained its liveliness. That store closed, huh? I was surprised.
That's right. I was surprised too.
Emily responded with a pleased smile to my words. However, I felt something off about her reaction. It was as if she knew the store was going to close. If she knew it would close. But I couldn't just ask her. I thought it must be just my imagination and continued the conversation with Emily. William, who was listening to our conversation, also spoke up.
it's nice to have people coming back, isn't it?
Yes. It would be great if it stayed like before. No, even more people came.
Emily's words made William nod in agreement. The closed store must have had its own circumstances. Thinking this, I hoped even more that Emily's cafe would thrive further. But following this incident, strange things started happening around the shop. Other stores started going out of business, except for Emily's. At least 3 had closed within a month. All the closed shops were cafes similar to Emily's. Have you noticed that a lot of shops around here have been closing recently? When I visited Emily's cafe again, I casually brought it up.
That's right. I wonder why. But all their customers are coming to us, so it might be a relief.
I thought Emily would find the rapid closures suspicious, but she didn't seem to. Although she expressed surprise in her words, her expression and tone made me feel like she might know something. Didn't you have any interaction with the other shops?
There was some interaction, but I really didn't know. It's really surprising, isn't it?
Emily seemed pleased that the other stores had closed. However, I couldn't understand her feelings. In such a situation, I think I would feel more scared than happy. It's unusual for 3 shops to close within a month. What is happening around here? I couldn't think of any reason, and pondering it didn't help uncover anything. I also noticed something else unusual around me. It was about William. Despite the cafe's increasing foot traffic, he wasn't smiling. Just like before, he was sighing and looked gloomy. It's William. Considering the shop situation, he shouldn't look like that. Could there be some other trouble bothering him? Just like before, I tried to carefully probe the nature of William's troubles. What's been going on lately? You looked down.
Oh, really?
Yes. Was he so pressured that he hadn't even realized it himself? I peered into William's face and waited for his words. However, William didn't seem inclined to share anything. William averted his gaze and awkwardly touched his nose.
No, it's nothing.
Really? Are you sure you're okay?
Yeah. I'm really fine. Please don't worry about me. I don't want you to ask about it, really, anything at all.
William sighed deeply again and walked away from me. It was clear he was troubled. But since he didn't want to talk about it, I couldn't force it out of him. It would be best if he chose to talk when he was ready. If he continued to not want to talk, I would respect that. However, my thoughts were wrong. An event occurred that made me regret I should have forced the conversation at that time. 6 months after the other shops closed down one after another, William had passed away. It wasn't due to illness or an accident. He had taken his own life. Indeed, it seemed he had been troubled. But I never imagined it would come to this. It was all too sudden, and I couldn't grasp what had happened. Before I knew it, everything moved forward, and William was cremated. What should I do now? How should I, having lost the person I loved most? No matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't imagine a future without him. Emily felt the same way.
I can't believe it. What should I do?
Emily muttered quietly while looking at William's portrait. She must have never thought she would outlive her son. From what I saw, they were a very close mother and son. The sense of loss was, without a doubt, immense.
Ugh. William.
Emily. I gently rubbed Emily's back. Her back felt much smaller than I had imagined. However, at the same time, I felt a slight sense of unease about Emily's behavior.
What to do? William.
Emily seemed to be panicking. Emily, are you okay? While rubbing her back, I spoke to her.
Well, yeah. I'm okay.
Emily responded to my inquiry while still appearing flustered. If there's anything I can do, please let me know. I'll help however I can.
Oh, thank you, but it's okay. Don't worry about me, okay?
Yes. It was certain that I felt something was off, but considering her son had just died, it might be understandable. I decided not to think too much and simply keep a quiet watch over Emily. Time passed, and before I knew it, it had been 6 months since William's death. However, only the days had moved on. I still felt left behind in the time when William was alive. Sorting through William's belongings, vacating the room we had shared, his presence still clung to my mind. We had spent many years together. I knew it wasn't something I could just forget easily, but still his presence remained too much within me. I must move forward and live my life, yet I can't seem to forget him. William would not have wanted me to remain stuck. But a certain invitation made me decide to face forward. One day, I received a call from an unexpected person. James, it's rare for you to call. What's happened?
Just a little thing.
The caller was James, a college classmate and a close friend of William's. I wasn't particularly close with him, but our relationship was such that we could easily talk if we wanted to. James had attended William's funeral, and our recent conversation was still fresh in my memory.
Do you want to visit William's grave? There's something I want to tell you.
A visit to the grave? I'm fine with it, but is your wife okay with that?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
He must intend to go to the grave, just the two of us, given he has something to tell me. I was curious about his wife's reaction, but it seemed it was all right. 2 weeks later, I went with James to the Williams grave.
Are you okay? A lot has happened since William passed.
Yeah, I'm managing to go to work.
I see.
We offered flowers and paid our respects at the grave. Then we left the place.
It feels strange, doesn't it? To be visiting William's grave at our age.
Yeah, well. James awkwardly tried to engage me in conversation. I didn't have much energy to expand the discussion, so I quietly responded. Our conversation didn't continue, and silence fell between us. However, that silence was soon broken by James.
You know, what I wanted to tell you today is,
In the heavy atmosphere, James handed me a slightly bulging envelope. A letter?
yeah, a letter from William. This is what I wanted to tell you, or rather, something I wanted to give you.
I couldn't believe that William had entrusted a letter to James. I took the letter and stared at the envelope.
After William died, this letter was sent to my house. I think William had sent it out in advance.
In advance.
In the letter, it was written that half a year after he's gone, this should be passed to Mary.
Why he left this letter for me in this manner? Why after half a year? My head was filled with questions. There should be a paper inside the envelope detailing William's thoughts. Can I look inside? I asked James, but he shook his head.
Not here.
Not here? After looking around, he whispered to me.
Do it at home. Make sure no one finds out, especially not William's mother.
Why?
It's written in William's letter. I don't know what's written, but I'm counting on you.
James's uneasy expression suddenly changed, and he looked at me squarely. Understood. I gave a small reply and carefully tucked the envelope into my bag. After parting with James, I hurried home. Once inside, I opened the envelope that James had given me. What had William left behind? If it's something Emily shouldn't notice, it might not be something pleasant. My hands trembled with nervousness and anxiety. Inside the envelope, there was a USB, several photographs, and many pages of letter paper. I decided to read the letter first. I dropped my gaze to the thick stack of letter paper.
Take revenge on Mom for me.
The sentence written prominently at the beginning made my spine chill. As I continued reading the letter, it contained shocking details about Emily. This can't be. It was too shocking, and I couldn't believe it all at once. That's right, the photos. I quickly checked the enclosed photos and the USB. Could it be really? My mind went blank, unable to think or understand what had happened, and not wanting to understand. But I couldn't keep running away. I picked up the letter again and continued reading. No matter how much I read, the content didn't change. My hands trembled more and more. Emily was with the mafia? What William had left behind was information that Emily had colluded with the mafia for the sake of her shop, and the USB and photos were the evidence. Emily began relying on the mafia when a new shop started taking her customers. The reason the shops were shutting down one after another was that the mafia was acting on Emily's requests. The first contact between Emily and the mafia was around the time she started her shop. The mafia had come to the shop demanding protection money, but Emily had apparently chased them away. However, when a new shop opened, the mafia came again, demanding protection money instead of putting the rival shop out of business. After much deliberation, Emily agreed to pay in exchange for putting the rival shop out of business. From there, Emily's relationship with the mafia deepened. All this was written in the letter that William left behind. William had witnessed the dealings between Emily and the mafia up close. In fact, he had been a party to it himself. At the end of the letter, it was written,
I can't bear it anymore. I'm truly sorry.
William probably made the decision to end his life because he couldn't bear the situation he was in. It certainly wasn't something he could easily discuss with anyone. Now I understand why he told me not to worry about him. William. But now that I knew everything, I thought perhaps I should have forced him to talk. I was filled with a sense of futility. Thinking of William brought tears to my eyes. Yet, I can't just stop here. As William said, I must take revenge on Emily. I must avenge his regrets. I clenched the letter from William and vowed to take revenge on Emily. Emily, I came to see you again today.
Welcome, Mary.
Even after William's death, I continued to frequent Emily's cafe. That didn't change even after reading his letter. But it's certain that my view of Emily had changed. The unease I felt when the surrounding stores closed and at the funeral felt justified after knowing everything.
Would you like the usual cake set today?
Yes, that would be great. I'll leave the choice of cake to you. Emily smiled kindly before efficiently starting to prepare the cake set. The cafe seemed calmer than before. After William passed away, Emily had reduced the operating hours but kept the cafe open. I wish I could have helped, but with my job, that wasn't possible. All I could do was visit Emily, who was managing on her own. But now things were different. Emily, would you let me help out at the shop? I always thought it looked tough. Even though it was a bit of a stretch, I felt compelled to see Emily's other side, so I offered to help.
That's kind of you. But aren't you tired, Mary?
No. Please don't worry about me. Initially hesitant, Emily seemed moved by my insistence and said,
Then, could I take you up on that offer? If you're helping, maybe I could extend the hours a little.
That sounds great. I'll do my best. I didn't want to believe what William had said. But having been taken care of by Emily so much in the past, there was a part of me that wanted to believe in her innocence. However, my hope was not to be fulfilled. While preparing to open one day, I suddenly heard Emily talking to someone.
There's been another troublesome shop opening up. I'll pay, so handle it the same way.
It was definitely a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. I could tell instantly from the content and Emily's dark voice, sending chills down my spine. But this also made me finally give up hope. I decided to prepare for revenge against Emily. 2 weeks later, before the store opened, I could hear Emily talking to someone again.
Yes, just like that.
The same low, dark voice from that day made me tense.
All right then, that settles it. Next time, in a week. Got it. See you then.
I waited for Emily to finish her call and then approached her. Emily, who were you talking to?
Whoa, you startled me. Were you here?
Yes, I've been here for a bit. Who were you talking to? Having initiated the conversation, I couldn't let it go. I pressed on.
It's someone you don't know, Mary. Don't worry about it. Come on, let's get ready.
But I've already finished preparing. Could you please tell me who you were talking to? Emily glared at me as I continued to ask insistently.
I said it doesn't concern you.
You were talking to the mafia, weren't you?
What?
It's no use trying to hide it anymore. Saying this, I placed the photos and USB that William had given me on the counter. Emily's eyes widened in shock. Realizing she could no longer hide the truth, she sighed heavily.
What? What is this?
William left it behind. It includes evidence of your connections to the mafia, how you had them shut down other stores, everything. You may have discarded it, but there's also a contract you made with the mafia on this USB.
I'd like to say it's all fabricated. But if you know this much, I can't really deny it, can I? You're right about my connections with the mafia and having stores shut down. It's all true.
I was momentarily surprised by how readily Emily admitted to it, but then she made a shocking statement.
But really, isn't it okay to do this much? If they didn't want their shops crushed, they shouldn't have opened near mine.
That's far too tyrannical. Surely, there were people who wanted to open their stores in this area. What's wrong with fulfilling that dream? This place isn't yours alone, Emily.
Shut up. Other people's circumstances don't matter. It's their fault for interfering with my store.
Emily continued with her selfish remarks, slamming the counter in anger.
Everyone is so annoying. Why do they have to interfere with me? Is it so bad that I'm successful? Even William, really? If he hated this environment, he should have just disappeared quietly without leaving anything behind.
How can you say that about William? Should have disappeared quietly. And that's not what I'm talking about. Isn't there a proper way to do things? Partnering with the mafia for the sake of a store, honestly, that's not normal. Do you even realize it's a crime?
A crime? I don't know anything about that. If you don't get caught, anything goes. You wouldn't have known if William hadn't told you, right?
Unable to deny her words, I looked down. Seeing my reaction, Emily said triumphantly,
See, you didn't know anything. Poor thing, getting dragged into this.
Getting dragged into this.
It's true, isn't it? I didn't think the mafia, fearing William, would leave behind evidence.
At this moment, I wondered what Emily really thought about William. I had assumed Emily cared for William, but perhaps I was wrong. Emily, what do you really think about William? Hearing my question, Emily's lips curled upwards. And then she blurted out,
I don't think much of him at all.
Not much.
Honestly, he was a nuisance.
What? Stunned by her response, I stood aghast. Emily continued, seemingly enjoying telling the story.
I thought of getting the mafia's help for the sake of the store, but he resisted. Even though I said it was for the store, he kept saying no, and it was annoying. Well, he eventually got swept along with my opinion. Even so, I lost any affection for him when he resisted, because he didn't care about the store.
William was just speaking sensibly.
If he was my son, he should have understood my feelings. I don't care about being sensible. A child should just silently listen to their parents.
Emily smirked wickedly, dismissing the idea. Still, she seems unaware of what she has done or why William resisted. Or maybe she realizes it, but doesn't want to admit it, just putting on a brave face. But whatever the reason, her selfish and wrongful actions are clear. Emily, how did you feel when William died? Didn't you think it might be your fault?
Why would I think that? Once someone is gone, there's nothing that can be done.
Didn't your actions push William to the edge? His letter said he couldn't bear it anymore. You forced him to involve with the mafia and burdened him with secrets. All these things piled up until he couldn't bear it anymore.
Stop it. What? Playing detective? Don't make me laugh.
It seems I hit the mark. Emily cut me off, yelling, and then she turned her gaze towards these proofs on the counter.
And really, is it okay to leave these proofs here? Just some pieces of paper.
Emily grabbed the photos on the counter, tearing them to shreds. Hey.
And I might as well break the USB, right?
I tried to grab the remaining USB, but Emily slapped my hand away. Ouch.
Don't touch that.
Then, Emily grabbed the USB and threw it into a tub filled with water. What are you doing?
Now, all the evidence is gone, right? And since you know everything, doesn't that make you the same as me? Do you even understand your own position?
It's true. I know everything now, but that's because William entrusted me to seek revenge on you. He regretted having made contact with the mafia. He ended his own life because he couldn't bear it anymore. I'm speculating here, but didn't William try several times to break off relations with the mafia and persuade you? Emily glared at me fiercely. What about it? Didn't you ignore what William said? Just looking at immediate profits, not willing to stray from the wrong path.
Shut up. What do you know?
Don't run away. You knew, didn't you? William's true feelings.
Shut up.
In that instant, Emily grabbed my collar and pulled me down with force. It happened so quickly that I was thrown into a panic. Ow.
Do you even realize what you've done? You've messed up my life because of you.
If you hadn't started doing strange things from the beginning.
Shut up. Can't you just listen quietly?
I had never seen Emily so agitated before. Normally, I might have been scared, but for some reason, I wasn't afraid at all.
You.
As Emily was about to grab my collar again, the door to the shop opened.
What are you doing?
Police. Why?
I had called them before I started talking to you, Emily.
What?
She let go of my collar and shocked. Before approaching Emily, I had gone to the police and explained the situation. I had also submitted the evidence, and the police were aware of the case. Ideally, I should have come with the police, but I stubbornly wanted to hear it directly from Emily last time, talking to her in a situation where the police could enter at any moment.
We need to hear more about this. Please come with us.
The police removed Emily from me and started to lead her to the police car.
Wait. What? You were deceiving me?
What do you mean by deceiving?
That you had called the police.
That's not an answer. I got up and watched as Emily was being led away.
You always talk too big.
Be quiet.
She was scolded by the police and started walking towards the police car again. Emily's back seemed the smallest I had ever seen it. Was this the revenge William wanted? I honestly don't know. I was merely entrusted with the desire for revenge. But since the police were involved, Emily's and the mafia's wrongdoings were exposed, and justice was served. Considering that William left evidence and tried to stop Emily from involving the mafia, this must have been the revenge he wanted. I returned home and looked at William's memorial portrait. William, I did it. I said that. Later, it was found that Emily had committed other crimes and she was sentenced to prison. Also, several mafias involved with Emily were arrested. I heard from the police that all the crimes Emily committed were related to her shop. It's easy to imagine that she resorted to various crimes to protect her business. I understand Emily's feelings, but there are right ways to go about things. If she had chosen a different method, there might have been a future where William did not take his own life. Nobody wants a future where no one can be happy. I find myself missing the early days when Emily first opened her shop. If I could go back, I would return to that happy time, and I often think about it. Since the incident, I have cut off all contact with Emily. The last face of Emily I saw was filled with anger as she was being taken away. Now, 2 years later, I have moved and am living a peaceful life. I sometimes remember Emily's angry face, but it's not traumatic. However, it was frightening, and I definitely don't want to experience anything like that again. After everything settled, I called James to thank him. He himself seemed to have been worried about me and had been living a restless life. If William hadn't passed the letter to James, if James hadn't upheld William's wishes, I wonder what kind of future would have awaited me. I hope I can continue to live this peaceful life. That is what I most desire now. As I think this, I hope he watches over me, and I look towards William's memorial portrait